Hey everybody, Crystal Gamer here, and welcome to a tour of the Willow Creek Metropolitan Museum and Art Center, a museum that celebrates artists and sculptors from the local area, along with featuring special themed exhibits of some of the local attractions and interests. And that's just the downstairs. The second floor features a pretty comprehensive art center with offerings for both adults and kids, plus a cafe with both indoor and outdoor seating. And I tried to design the museum so that every element of it is art, including the outside fountains, the centerpiece sculpture, the roofing, and even the evening lighting, which I have to say is probably one of my favorite parts. And before we begin the tour, I want to thank everyone on Twitter who contributed their opinions to the exterior color scheme of the build. In the end, I went with the majority of the vote on the building, but a couple of people suggested that I keep the red brick in the foreground. And after testing about 30 different floors for the foreground multiple times over and over again, I decided to go with a red, but not the bold one in my first design, one that's a little bit more muted, but still allows for that evening lighting to really come alive, especially the red going up the stairs to sort of frame it all. I don't know, I felt like the foreground was worth highlighting. And so I went with this more muted red, and I'll be interested to know what you guys think. Did I make the right call? Did I not make the right call? I'm not entirely sure. Like I say, I tried out so many different colors, and I don't usually have that difficult of a time deciding something like this, but this one, I don't know. It could just go either way, so it's a little bit tough deciding. And also, before I get into the tour, I wanted to let my regular challenge players know, and those that follow my challenge series, we're running a vampire pack challenge this time, and usually I do a build kind of highlighting whatever pack we're doing. This time I'm not doing a specific build highlighting that pack, but in this tour, you are going to see that there is a section inspired by the vampire pack. And so all that said, let's get on into it. Okay, so we are coming in at night because it is my favorite time to come in. And as you can see, we have two entrances. One is actually an entrance, one is an exit. The one on the right is the entrance. The one on the left is the exit, technically. Now, I suspect the Sims may possibly use the one on the left a little bit more just because it's closer to the activity center, but I've kind of seen them using both, so... Alright, so we are going to go in this front door here. Apparently I need to lower us down a little bit more. And I'm going to back the camera up quite a bit because I want to show you this main exhibit here. So this is the initial exhibit, and it's like the biggest exhibit in the museum. Obviously, it goes up 2 stories. Goes up to the second floor a little bit and everything. And it's also sort of the centerpiece of the museum. It's where several different exhibits converge and all of that stuff. And you can see it from the entrance and exit. Now, the museum is set up in a tour style. So you go around and tour the whole thing. And because of that, I put in a couple of cheater gates. So there's one here. There's one on the opposite side, like behind where that guy is standing and everything. So there are a couple of cheater gates so Sims can get around easily without having to tour the entire museum via this entrance. So when we turn around, this would be the entrance, and you would get your tickets here. It's the little cash register area and all of that. And then you would be able to go through the gate, and you'd get your admission, and this is the first room you come to. And so this room is pieces from local artists and sculptors. Obviously a nice big one in the middle, some artwork on the walls. And then on the opposite side, we have a display case full of some sculptors from local artists and all that. And then obviously you can't kind of help but notice this area back here, this kind of castle-y area back here, and that's exactly what this is. So they have a local castle, and unfortunately that castle, it's very historic, and it is its own museum actually, but it's fallen into disrepair. They needed to do some restoration on it, and so it's shut down for a year. So since that museum is shut down for a year, this museum is benefiting because it's getting a lot of, they basically have a lot of the different artifacts and pieces from that castle on loan. So this is one of their special exhibits this year only. And these are all items from the castle that is typically open as its own museum. So this is what this place looks like. And all the different artifacts and everything. There's a lot of history, obviously, behind the castle. And so there are historic families, and we have some historic family photos and things like that here. We even have some family urns and an old family necklace, all of that good stuff. So we have a lot of stuff here. The door over there just goes to a storage room for museum staff. So that's not a thing that we need to go see. But so that is that exhibit, and then we can go to our next exhibit, which is another themed exhibit based on a local story. And this one is about a pirate ship that sunk off of the coast years ago. And there's a lot of mystery surrounding the sinking of this pirate ship and everything, so much so that they even made a movie out of it. But they also found the ship, and they found a few items off of it. And so we have the anchor and the wheel that they found off of it. And then we have the chest over here and a couple of the different movie posters that come from the movie. And then this piece here is an artist rendition of a ship bow being tied down. And then we have a few other artifacts and artistry from the local area, a replica of the ship that sank, and a local map area. And that, of course, shows where it sank as well. And then we have this beautiful sculpture done by a local artist of the birds and all of that. And we go through this portion of the museum. We get to a restroom in case anyone needs it. And if they need a break, need to sit down, we have a little seating area. And then we're brought to our main section of the museum with the big exhibit. And of course, on our left is the entrance, and there's the exit over there. But we are going to go straight through to the next themed exhibit over here. And this one here is a music-themed exhibit. And of course, we have some local artists that have done some music-themed artistry. But we also have a famous musician that was from the local area that unfortunately passed away. But because that musician passed away, the museum has some guitars and awards and different things that musician got throughout his life. And then we have this pipe organ here, comes from a local church that unfortunately went up in flames. And so the church organ was the only thing that was left and salvageable. And so that's on display at the museum. They also have a local violinist. This violinist is still alive. And so there's a little bit of stuff from that person. And then we have this exhibit. So they have an archaeological dig. They have an archaeological dig nearby. And so all of this stuff has come from that archaeological dig. And this is also stuff that is on loan to this museum as well. So they have this exhibit open for a while now. And this has all the kind of ancient stuff in here for people to peruse. And then in our next area, we go back to local artists and sculptors in this area. And I'm going to move the mouse real quick. There we go. I was trying to do that really carefully without jerking it all around on you guys. But so then we go through this area and we pass some artistry and sculptures and things like that. And then over here we end up at our exit and the main sculpture area again. But we are not going to the exit right now. We are going to turn ourselves around and go up those stairs right there and check out the upstairs activity area. So when we get to the top of the stairs, the first thing that we see is a little cafe sign over here, and we have a little cafe area. So if anyone gets hungry while they're at the museum, we have that there. We have some skylights in here. So the third floor has several skylights. We have this whole huge mural area here so people can come and paint on the murals and all of that. We can see down to our first floor main exhibit area, of course. And then one of my favorite parts is in here. And this is one of my favorite parts because this is mainly for parents. So if parents want to come to see the museum, they can drop their kids off here for a couple of hours. And this area is always manned with someone that can watch the kiddies in here. And so the kiddies can enjoy this little activity center in here. Now, I don't know why we have a photographer, probably because that's someone famous, but yeah, so the kids can hang out here and enjoy some artwork while mom and dad are going through the museum, which is definitely more adult-like than kid-like. And then in here, they do some woodworking classes in here. And when they're not doing classes, it's open for members to hang out, museum members to hang out and practice and do woodworking and stuff. And as you can see, this room has a nice skylight as well. And then we can go off to this side. And this is another room that is an activity room. And they do classes in here a couple of times a week as well. And then, sorry about the weird camera stuff, when they're not doing classes, obviously this room is open for people to come and do their own artwork and stuff, members of the museum in particular. And then we can go over to this side. We have a little bit more seating, restrooms. And then if you want to eat outside rather than at the cafe bar, we have some outdoor seating here. We have a nice fountain area. And of course we can go down and we have a view here. This is, by the way, this is in the lot in Willow Creek, the 50 by 50 lot in Willow Creek. Obviously you could put it on another 50 by 50 lot, but Willow Creek is it right at the moment. And I'm just wanting to give you guys the above view. And obviously we're still in the evening, so we have cool lighting back here as well. And that is the above view. And I wanted to give you the above view on the inside too. Oh, and also for anyone that wants to download, this is a no CC build as well. So, all right. So this is the view from the top. We might be a little bit too zoomed out. Kind of looks distorted. There we go. Okay, so we have our art room, restrooms, cafe, open to below, woodworking, and the kids area, and then the bottom section. And you can kind of follow the bottom section through with the entrance, the first room, castle room, nautical exhibits, down through the main area, music exhibits, archaeological, and then the local sculptors and artists, and then back to the beginning. And so that is our museum, and I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. I especially love this evening view of this museum, and I'm super happy with it because I had no idea what it was going to be when I started. I started with this front area, the water fountains and the sculpture were actually my inspiration on this. And after I finished those two elements, I had no idea what I was going to make out of it. And speaking of the sculpture out front, I'd be interested to know, do any of you guys know what I made that out of? And if you do, let me know in the comments if you think you know what I made that out of. I did have one person guess on Twitter, and I'm not surprised at who guessed either, but yeah, I don't know if anyone else will be able to readily tell what I made that sculpture out of, but try taking a stab at it in the comments. That'd be kind of interesting. But yeah, so I finished the front and I had no idea what I was doing with it. And I sort of sat and looked at it for a couple of days before I decided that it was going to be a museum. And so I hope that you guys like this. I hope you enjoyed the tour. And if you did, please, of course, hit that like button, comment, share, subscribe. All that good stuff helps us YouTubers out a ton. And I appreciate you all spending the time with me today. Hope to see you all back again next time. Bye now.